Minahan.
Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for soul growth. Come journey with us through astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello, Happy New Year. This is actually just on the crest of going into 2025, and our panel is all about that in a new way, just because 2025 is going to initiate new terrain. It's going to be where we actually experience a new dimension of ourselves in community, evolving constantly. Astrodrama is our name of the game, but it's on an online version with Astro Jam. And you might say that this close-up is an interaction with the celestial consciousness. They speak. That is really how astrologers view planets and all the cosmic points and everything else. It's this evolution of reality. So we are personifying this for a spontaneous dimension of what really 2025 might bring to us. So thank you for joining us, and we are now ready for Astro Jam.
Astro Jam is a fun and exciting reenactment where a group of astrologers bring two mystery charts to life. Here, planets speak their archetypal consciousness to us, just like they do in our minds and hearts. Playing out the chart's planets like a spontaneous music jam, this is your cast of Astro Jam.
Hello, and I am introducing Melissa Elvira Billington from Australia. We have people around the globe, and you can check her Substack, Trust Along Her Journey, and this is always online, and you can check these bios later at your leisure. Israel Ahosi, I hope, is joining. He's always a little bit off, joining us from England, and that's Sacred Planets. Jolly Knot, also from England, is a consulting astrologer, a Reiki master and teacher, and a transformational coach with Bodhi High Mindful. Correct? Okay, thank you. Rob Passetti with Deep Earth Astrology. He's a professional consulting astrologer, the visionary of Deep Earth Astrology. And you can find him again online. Justin Crockett Elsey of Washington is at his website, and he's an archetypal Yodish astrologer, teacher, author. We have Susie Cox of Arizona, professional astrologer and workshop presenter and author at susiecox.com. Thank you, Susie, for joining us. Sean Kelly of California, speaker, executive, motivational leader, focuses on digital business and does evolutionary astrology. Thank you, Sean. And I apologize to all my other wonderful guests if I've not directly thanked you, because it is a great pleasure to have 8 visiting people. And Marie O'Neill of California, founder of Padma Life Coaching, a life coach, astrologer, speaker, past life regression facilitator, and has a retreat twice a year online, and an author. And myself with Talk Cosmos. Thank you. We are beginning. We are introducing 2025, remembering that initially, right as January opens up, the lunar nodes are shifting from the relationship of self and other, Aries of new identity, and the other of how am I complementing, or do they, and how do I work and maintain myself in this relationship, whatever it is, to suddenly a very open the consciousness of Pisces. That's the womb of us all, the unconscious, where we are unified, and Virgo of we're fixing things in a detailed fashion, because otherwise we'll the garden will get overgrown. That's a backdrop entering for 18 months. One other feature, just to introduce us, that's important is a Venus star point that happens every 9 months. It's a rotation. And in Aries, it will be just the day after the equinox. To land us, Astro Jam, usually we have those two mystery charts. The mystery is 2025. How are we going to see it? And this is just one perspective. And to do that, we're enacting and personifying in character, each one of us a planet. The rogue planet will be Pluto. Anybody can take it. And it could be the moon if Israel, our good friend, happens to get delayed. Maybe he's anticipating that new moon that's happening tomorrow and you just can't see him, right? That is happening on the 30th, folks. And our names are going to be right in front of us. So you don't need to memorize this and we won't go over it. But also you can use chat. I know we have always had it. It will get flashed across the screen. We can not comment. So join in if you have a comment. We are starting with the spring equinox. It's actually
the autumn equinox in the southern hemisphere, is what y'all know.
Ah, yes, indeed. Thank you. We're seeing both sides of the coin. Thank you so much. Well, then we'll be flipping because right after that, the second half, Melissa, we're going to do the Libra point, which will be your Aries point. I've always loved to see the world that way. In fact, have you ever hung upside down on a sofa to see how maybe Fred Astaire or somebody danced on the ceiling? It's very exciting. And, we can't see our names, can we, here? Because I am Uranus. Speak your name and say who you are right off the bat. Melissa?
Neptune.
Susie?
Jupiter.
Jolly?
Mercury.
Sean?
Saturn.
Rob?
The sun.
Marie?
Venus.
And Justin?
Mars.
All right. Well, we will be these, and we may have to say, I'm so-and-so, and jumping into it. We will have this spontaneity of enactment as of now, starting with the sun, who is Rob, and we'll just digest how the half year will be. You will see on the left side the major outer planets that are ingressing all within 3 months. It is impactful. This year is dynamic. What are the waves? What is the ship that we're sailing on Neptune? Because Neptune's going to start us off. Okay. Boing. Rob.
Hello, I am the sun. I am the heartbeat of the zodiac. I meter the day and I represent the self. And the spring equinox is the ingress into Aries for the sun. And this is all about initiation. It's the first crocus of the year bursting through the snow, at least in the northern hemisphere. And this is a very, very interesting time because this is a balance point, and we see that represented so well in the chart. Preceding us is Neptune and the North Node, kind of a confused sense of fate. And ahead of us slightly is a conjunction between a retrograded Mercury and Venus, the combination of our intellect and our values. And it's kind of the sun is kind of directing us to a disillusion of ourself into a new being, but we're a little bit confused right now. We don't know what that's going to look like. And really the best planet to talk about confusion may be Neptune. So
that's a good point. I am going to interject though right away because I am Uranus, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm just sitting on the sides wondering, I understand Uranus, that's the Neptune, that's the one dissolvement that I'm working with. I'm so eager because all these others just sort of aggravate my tensions inside to want to suddenly make immediate explosions of ideas, but people aren't resonating. Yes, Neptune, please tell us more.
Well, it's all an illusion, isn't it? It's all in the beauty and in the values. What are you willing to stand up for? What are you no longer willing to stand for? Neptune and Aries. We're gonna look for how to charge forward and make it beautiful at the same time. It's the individual coming to the fore in a beautiful way.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to jump straight in because my name is Mercury. And of course, Mercury speaks quickly for the most part. Although I am in retrograde, but I am still in Aries, which is a Mars ruled sign. So therefore, I'm going to be a little bit aggressive. And quite frankly, I think it's a good thing that I am retrograde, but in Aries. I am here with Venus to welcome the sun. And the sun is moving away from Saturn, the North Node, and Neptune. It's moving away from illusion, delusion, confusion, and decay. And it is moving towards us, where Venus and I are rejigging, rethinking, remapping, remaking how we think and how we feel. Wouldn't you say, Venus?
I actually would, and thank you for that introduction, Mercury. You did such a good job, especially since you're retrograde and supposed to be on vacation. So, as Venus, I am also retrograde, and I've been retrograde since March 1st. However, you really need to look at where I was back on January 28th, because that's when I entered the shadow period. So Venus in Aries, why would Venus choose to be in Aries? Well, number one, Aries is the start of the season. This is a new beginning. Before we have a new beginning, however, we have to look back and review our values. What is it that we want for ourselves? What do we believe? What do we want concerning our relationships? Because Venus ultimately is about right human relationships. Now is the time to actually revisit this and look at what vision we have for ourselves, which would be, of course, Neptunian, but and also needing to put it into action, which is Aries and Mercury speaking it. But I'm sitting here saying, hey, what do you desire? What do you want for your relationships? What do I want for my relationships? And of course, the sun is shining brightly on all of us because, the sun is out front. It's rising before Venus and before Mars. But, we still have to look to Saturn because Saturn is leading the ship.
But rock and roll, shatter, and remember, you, Venus, are talking to me, Uranus, right now. And I'm so glad in some way to have this little dialogue between the thinking and the feeling, because really, when I shatter up with my vision of what to do right now, thank you, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but what is in front of you, then you need to connect those things. And so, yes, Saturn will be quite interesting to see, because Saturn and I are kind of in cahoots right now. At least I'm listening to Saturn a whole lot. Please, Saturn, pardon my interruption, but
it's about time. All of you kiddos, Big Daddy Saturn here, need to understand that we're still dissolving boundaries.
Yes, thank you.
Pisces over here, and Mars is helping me out, and Mars is helping you all out too, you Aries folks. Mars is your ruler, remember?
Well, let's listen. You're right, Mars. What have you got to say for yourself?
Mars is crying.
Jupiter.
Well, I'm getting ready. I'm right here, right next to this water here, and this ship you see in the background. And I'm starting out this year retrograding. I'm going backwards. The beginning of this year, I don't know which direction I'm going. So I'm causing everybody in the collective to regroup, reorganize, change direction. But by Aries Ingress time, I'm direct and I'm in water. As you can see behind me here, I'm feeling good in that water. So Mars, when I'm in Cancer, I'm making decisions based on my intuition, my feelings. And in this particular sky, at this particular point, I'm actually triangulating Saturn. So I'm looking at some emotional limitations with that. And I'm also trining Vesta, the collective there in Scorpio. So I'm really evaluating at this Aries ingress the emotions, the intense and passion that's going on in the collective. And I'm just wanting to feel comforted and nurtured by this water.
Well, this sounds so good, but I'm thinking, what happened to Zeus, our leader, or the big sky of Jupiter up there? And look at that for the world chart. For the world, it's right, opening up something big. I'd love to hear what Jupiter wants to tell us.
Hi, I'm Jupiter, and I love being full and energized, and especially in Gemini. I'm Gemini, feeling pretty smart in Gemini here. So and I finally got done with a retrograde, so I'm feeling moving forward, and I'm a little bit out of the crowd over there, but coming up pretty soon I'm going to be squaring Neptune and Saturn, so I've got something coming up here for sure. I'm going to ingress into Cancer coming up in June, and that's going to be a big shift. So Jupiter and Gemini, what I think is I am opening up the door for when Uranus goes into Gemini, because as soon as I leave Gemini, Uranus comes in. So I say, okay, open up the door. Hey, everybody's getting used to all of this, and then Uranus can come in. So I'm just kind of like the scout, I would say. Yeah, and
I have to say, I know I have to apologize for the confusion earlier. I realize I am still 1 foot back in the door of Pisces in the 11th house of the collective consciousness as Neptune, confusion. But I'm just so excited about being a spiritual warrior coming up in Aries, and I'm conjunct with y'all in Aries, and still holding hands with y'all there in Pisces, Saturn and North Node. So yeah.
Well, I tell you, as Venus, I am so happy to have the support of Lord Pluto. Lord Pluto is there giving strength, and for this deep, deep transformation that we're going through, our value system is going through, because hopefully we've individuated and we can now work for the collective and be good warriors for the collective. And Pluto's helping us to do that.
Yes. And as Uranus, I'm realizing, having listened to Jupiter and Venus and all these different relationships, because we know we're building community. It's us one step in the next. But I'm realizing I'm taking, the torch of communication in like the middle of the year here. But in the meantime, that'll be when the tribes really, our communities get close. And this is really, what sudden things will happen? I don't know.
Well, as the sun, I'm getting an assist from the moon right now. And, when Sagittarius is trining the sun right there, it's a call to adventure, and in the 6th house, that means it's going to be every day. Every day is going to be a new call to adventure. And it's really going to be based on the times that we're living in, because we see that we also have that sextile to the Pluto in Aquarius as well. That Pluto is kind of calling us to make some changes, to change the collective unconscious. And that moon there is energizing us and say, you know what? You don't have to just be aggressive. You can have some fun with it.
And I'm
You
just going to
know,
jump in really
I
quickly because, I am Mercury. So I'm really sorry, Mars, but you really need to give me a chance to speak, because I don't really get the chance to speak. So really quickly, I have to say that even though I'm retrograde, I still have zip, 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 thanks to you, Mars. And I am actually trine that moon. So we are really reimagining the game. We are reimagining how we play. And that means to explore our moon comfort levels with things, are the things that bring us safety and security. I'll hand it back over to you, Mars.
Well, I'm in the sign of the moon, so I'm trying to connect there with the moon, and in so I'm in the lunar mansion in this chart in Punarvasu in the Vedic, which is actually materialistic and ruled by Taurus. So I'm going to be focused again a little bit on my money and my Maslow hierarchy needs, and really pushing people in that direction right about this period of time, and in those emotions.
Well, I'm helping you with that. I'm
Well,
helping you with
I
that.
mean, as Saturn, I really like what you're saying. Okay, I mean, but y'all with your like new adventure, Pluto over there, all that stuff, your moon and your Aries stuff. Look, you're gonna have to be cautious of your own self undoing here, everybody. Saturn has spoken.
Don't forget to do the picture.
Well, I got to tell you, with the help of the moon, Venus and the moon are in sync. The needs and the desires are the same. They are energized. There's movement forward. There's higher thought coming in. There's a warrior aspect of knowing what you're willing to fight for with the desires and the needs, and we're pretty much unstoppable.
And I have to say, as Mercury, I'm here to give voice to those thoughts. I'm here to give voice to those desires, those needs, and how we can rejig them for the second half of the 2020s.
Yes, I think really we're right in the middle of huge eclipses. And woo! Thank you. Namaste to all. We now are going to be backstage and we can talk about this. Let's take that down for a sec, Nate, and let's just talk. Well, we can just talk a little bit. Yes. What was
I just want to really quickly, if it's okay, I know I'm still talking like Mercury, but I'm really talking as Jolly. And that is just to say that I think the shift into the Virgo Pisces axis is really interesting. I see that as the feminine learning axis. So we have Virgo that's like crunching data and considering it. And then we've got Pisces that's trying to use that data and integrate it into a way of being compassionate with our environment and with our world. But in particular, having the South Node in Virgo is really speaking to going back to the basics. Ketu, or the South Node, is our castle, and this is where we are actually on familiar ground. So I think that's something to consider with the South Node in Virgo.
I just got to chime in and share. Yeah, the nodal shift is big, and you guys, the chart we're looking at is actually my Saturn return.
aha?
Love it.
Yay.
So and guys, I just gotta say, I like looked at Saturn every month through the whole year and picked like a couple days for the month. It's really interesting how Mercury plays with the ingress of Saturn into Aries and the Mars trine and how that plays out. Mars is going to be trine Saturn when it in December or November.
We'll
Again,
get
it's
there.
trine just as it's coming back
Second
out.
half.
Yeah, so it's got the first
right.
half of Cancer and the second half of Scorpio. So whoa, huh?
This is going to be good. We have to be careful though, because with that Pisces North Node, that is the North Node. And in evolutionary astrology, that is an energy that we're not familiar with, that
Amen.
we have to cultivate. And so we want to make sure that we don't get caught up in the Virgo, too much detail, too much planning, and not bring in that spiritual component of
Very
trust.
good. It's not a linear. I think that is, I know as a Gemini and having had Neptune ramping over my Gemini for 14 years now, along with other Geminis, that you realize life is not always linear. And
Right.
you start listening to things. And on a large cosmic population, there will be a greater group, I think, of the population that start responding. Well, it's not something you taught with your ABCs. Hey, listen to the bell ringing. Is there something to think about at that moment?
I pulled the harmonic chart as well, the strongest harmonic chart for the spring equinox, and it was in 43, and that is all about disillusion to reform into something new, and you can see that in the planetary patterns so clearly. I mean, it's it's just so Neptunian in its, and when we look at, we have that the eclipse coming up just a few days later, so I mean, it's really going to be a very transformational time.
Well, wonderfully.
Yeah, but I want to just say one thing.
Well, can I just say something for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
That Neptune in Pisces, the last anaretic degree in the 11th house, and then shifting into the 12th house, feels like it's carrying that Piscean energy, even though it's going into Aries, it's in the 12th house. So.
Well, they're all retrograde. This is not staying all year. So we are in this turbulence times. But
the charts
what was that?
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's a year of change, but I've heard some astrologers say, and I think it's a little hyperbolic, that this is the most period of change. Well, I don't think it could be any more crazy than a pandemic, but and the people out have talked about these outer planets going into the signs, but they don't stay there. They're going back again. So we're still in this. Yep. It's not a complete going into it. They're going to go back into Pisces. They're going to go back again.
Well, we'll talk about that with the
just say
second chart.
That just means that we're still in a reorganization period, reevaluation period, even towards the end of next year.
Totally.
Yeah. But I love this idea that really we're bridging new territory. And I'm thinking Jupiter here. For me, you look at the whole year, Jupiter stays half a year in Gemini, meaning, yes, it's supporting that Virgo South node. But then when it goes into Pisces, it really helps us, I think, work with our North node of compassion and what's finding security. And it also dovetails with the whole idea of Pluto that's looking for new community. How can we, because we all have our identity, we don't want to just be part of the group. We want our identity to flourish in the group and be
unity
part
in
of that
diversity.
Network. Yeah. So it's
what is our relationship in that community?
And purpose. And what is the intention? Because it's the oneness. I think it stops that fragmentation that I'm different from you. Somehow we'll find, I hope, more common ground, and not the lowest structure of it, but on a more.
Well, I mean, you would hope
that Aries is helping to clarify that individuation as we start to melt, so that people can feel that they are in themselves as they come into unity consciousness.
Well, and I think that's really also, sorry, I just got to zip in because I'm Mercury and I'm going to zip. So
we are at break time.
I just want to say really quickly, you notice that Mercury's in the fire signs and retrogrades into the water. So I am connecting fire, the intuition and inspiration, with water, the emotion. So I just want to say that.
So important. I have to pick up on that. You're absolutely right, because look at all the other planets. The Aries planets are going to go back into Pisces, which is still that air and fire dynamic, which is it's huge. Thank you, everybody. We have our 8 astrologers. Israel is coming. The new moon is opening up with some light by then. I think he was eclipsed with tomorrow's new moon in Capricorn. But we will be right back with Astro Jam about how is 2025 evolving further. Stay tuned. Thanks. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the yin period of Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, the furthest visible planet by the eye. By leaving a cycle based on meaningfulness and truth, Capricorn's energy establishes social boundaries in a structure incorporating rules, authority, and ethics. As a cardinal earth sign depicted by a sea goat climbing from the sea up to the top of a mountain, Capricorn overcomes fears through goals and ambitions to achieve mastery.
Talk Cosmos brings insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for the soul growth with hour-long programs. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. And to find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com. So grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to newprosupplements.com, we cover the world of animals. This week, January 5th, it's our first show of the new year and Shelter Rescue Sanctuary and anything that helps our animal friends Sunday. We'll check in with Meow Cat Rescue, Help Animals India, and Animals24-7.org. Plus, we'll hear about all the great classes and events coming up at the Ananda Institute for Living Yoga. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Get inspired every hour right here on Alternative Talk 1150.
Hello again, and thank you. This is Astro Jam, and it's the New Year's, and we're going to continue. If I can get and we have Israel, the moon. Thank you, Israel.
I'm here.
All right.
You can't do nothing without the moon.
Well, we did. We managed with
Israel.
You were part of the new moon with Capricorn. Very good. We're going to, Nate, can I have the slides? Okay. We, at this point, briefly bring in a little bit about each of our panelists. Melissa, you can find her at the Trust the Longer Journey at Substack. And all of these people go back to our slides or go to Talk Cosmos and find out how to locate them. Israel Hosey, that just joined from England, has sacredplanets.com. He's a teacher, a consultant full-time, and also has a podcast now, a wonderful one that I've heard great things about, the Lunar Lounge. So very good, Israel. We have also in England, Jolly Knot, who has Bodhi Mindful and .com, and she's an astrologer, a coach, and a Reiki master, giving classes and constellations all the time. So thank you. Rob Passetti on the East Coast in Pennsylvania has deepearthastrology.com. This year, sometime or other, he is producing his tarot card that's very nature-oriented and very exciting with gorgeous graphics. That'll be exciting. And he's a professional consulting astrologer and author. Thank you, Rob. That's it. Deep Earth Astrology. Then we have Justin Crockett Elsie, and his website is that name, although he's also on Instagram quite a bit, and several other YouTube channels. He's on Elizabeth Liz Machette's channel, The Relationship Guys. He and Michael Bartlett have a great program. And then with Talk Cosmos, he's on several panels here. So thank you, Justin. He does consultants via Zoom, and workshop, and a teacher, an author, a Yodish archetypal astrologer. Susie Cox, who is joining us thankfully here, has a website. Oh, I like your top, your leaves, and is involved very much with the Tucson Astrologers Guild. And of course, her website is susiecox.com, and she has YouTubes and workshops everywhere and been involved many, many years. But Tucson Astrologers Guilds has lectures, and it's a great site to join or just listen and participate. So thank you, Susie. Marie O'Neill is a coach and has her own YouTube station, and she's an author, and she's also working with Kepler College. And you can find padmalifecoaching.com to find out, or padmacoach@icloud.com to connect with her. Thank you, Marie. Sean Kelly does consultations and some lectures besides his marketing full time that he is involved with various businesses, and his site is evolutionaryastro.com. So thank you, Sean, for joining and participating. Myself and a few others, Justin, Israel, are going to be on January 1st. If you happen to have a couple of hours, join. It's a New Year's Day commemorating on a wide scale. It's only $15, and that's at eastwestseattle.org. Just click the events. Here we have many ongoing. Anyway, this is a potpourri of all the different events that Talk Cosmos does. So it's the new year. Let's begin. Thank you, everybody. We always have a lot to say, and we have all these wonderful folks. Remember, we're each in our costume character as a planet, and we are going to start off now. Remembering it's flipped. We have the South Hemisphere and the Northern Hemisphere. The Libra point is always the second side because every coin has two sides. It's a holistic self, just like the nodes. We have to remember that light makes dark and dark makes everything, is like Taoism. A little bit of something in the opposite, like homeopathic medicine. I hope all that connects. So the mystery of 2025, let's look at the flip side and see what up in the Northern Hemisphere will be the Libra point, and with Melissa down in Neptune land with the middle of the ocean will be her Aries point. And this is a list again. And remember Pluto, folks, we can just have open season on. So we have the fall equinox, which is September, or down under their Aries point. So it's the beginning somehow. And we'll start off, and it's just after the lunar eclipses, which will be earlier in that month. We'll still be in the thick of the season, and we'll look at all these energies. No more to talk about, too much talk. Let's hear it from our sun, starting off our journey.
Yes, I am the sun, and I am standing as the guardian of the gate between the light and the dark half of the year at this point. And I'm in a very powerful aspect pattern called a kite, which is the grand trine and the minor grand trine. And I am the initiation point, reflecting to all four actually outer planets, if we're including Saturn as an outer planet, and they're all in retrograde. So just as Mars told us earlier that we're going to be revisiting things, we're going to be reviewing things as far as the collective, it's going to be very true at this point. And being in Libra, we're just trying to find our way into that balance. So Saturn, what do you have to say about that as you're opposite me?
Oh, man, it's time to consider others. We did all this dancing at the first equinox about you guys all embracing yourself, and the sun over here has lit everything up and reminded me that there's other people out there, and I got to think about that.
Well, I'm going to zip in because I'm sorry, really,
opposite
Neptune. You really, really need to listen to me, Neptune. I'm really sorry because that's just the way I flow. Get it. I will come back to you, though. Really promise. Just wanted to say that Mercury is often associated with young people. And I'm approaching the moon. So you need to know that young people are going to have a lot to say. I think we're going to be hearing from Gen Z or Gen Z, depending on what country you're on, in quite a bit. I'm really sorry, Neptune. I didn't mean anything bad.
All good. Love to all. And I'm also standing here opposite you, the sun and even Mercury and the moon by a stretch. And I gotta say, we're all in it together.
Yep.
Neptune, get back into Pisces and give me some help.
I'm holding your hand, brother.
I'll help you. I'll help you. I'll help you. I'm Jupiter. I'm trining you. And if you notice, I've gone into the sign of Cancer. So I've shifted over, and I got my teddy bear here. Jupiter and Cancer wants a big teddy bear. And this is a feeling that everybody's going to sense. I mean, people are going to be wanting a big hug. They're going to be wanting nurturing. Jupiter and Cancer is a collective hug. And since I'm trining Saturn, it's kind of like helping people, I think, is my feeling. I feel like I need it a little bit. You like my teddy bear? Isn't he cute?
You're awesome, Susie.
Well, since you're in Cancer, which is ruled by moi, the moon, the mother. I am the moon. I am in Libra. So I'm seeking balance, partnerships, relationships with all. I'm seeking diplomacy. I'm seeking civilization. And I rule the fourth house, which is the home where all of you are going to come and dine and fine wine with me. And the next aspect I actually make is to that Jupiter, which is exalted in my sign. But I can still feel a little bit of the weather of Neptune, that opposition slightly. And I'm also next to Mercury. So I'm going to be talking quite a lot of communication amongst each other that we can share. Perhaps maybe we can even talk about health since we're in the sixth house. Yeah, that's me.
And I just want to zip in and say that I am having a really nice conversation with Venus because we are having a mutual reception.
Right. Well, that is very helpful because I am Uranus and I'm thinking being in Gemini and trining Pluto that is never going to go back, always now staying in Aquarius. Us air signs, we're really flowing through, but the currents are kind of going backwards. But a lot of times I'm thinking, well, very fine. It's transformation, finding this community, but what action? Because I see Mars over there. I'm in conjunct. That's like a quincunx. And there's some thought that that's where I need to learn. I need to learn, or else Mars needs to learn how to suddenly find the right actions to mobilize. What deep commitments do they have?
Hey, I'm not the one going backwards, right now. So I think Saturn has something to learn there. Saturn has something to learn. But, I've been dealing with my emotions all year. I started out there in Cancer. Aries Ingress, I was still in Cancer. See, I'm here next to this water here. And now I'm at 0 degrees Scorpio as I get closer to the end of the year. And I'm intense. I have intense emotions. And I hate to rain on everybody's kumbaya parade here. But I'm a warrior in Scorpio. I'm going to show you some really crazy stuff happening in the collective here. And so I'm bringing this intense passion, intense energy, emotions with Scorpio. And yes, I'm in conjunct or in balance with Saturn. So I'm looking to Saturn to teach me a little bit there, but also, balance that relationship with Daddy there.
Well,
I also
tell you, Saturn.
Remember, your children are Eros and Harmonia, right? Remember, and all of us here in Aries, we might have to rethink what Mars is all about. Is he the barbarous, war-hungry one, or is he the one who's humiliated? Is he the one who has children of love and harmony?
I'm just elated that Mars finally made it to Scorpio, where it can be supportive of helping me let go of some stuff here. Because me and Pisces, especially like 28 degrees, this is like the manifestation place of letting the stuff go. And that, that's Pisces. So here we are. And like Mars, totally. Finally, you stepped up to help me cut the stuff that's in the way of helping all these other people out that seem to be so noisy now. So I got to address it.
Well, I am opposite Chiron here, so I'm showing everybody, kind of dragging you through what your wound is right around this period of time, as we've been halfway through this crazy year, and so there's a lot of strife going on here, and I'm going to show it to you with these intense emotions.
Well, I do
what you guys don't realize is I am Venus, and basically all of you guys are answering to me because it is, Venus season. So we need you to listen, of course, because Venus and Mercury are in mutual reception. So it is about relationships, but what are the desires this time? The desire is looking for perfection, which of course we all know perfection doesn't really exist. However, all of the desires that you have, you really do we need to break them down into doable ways to manifest them and be creative about it.
I'm going to butt in because I'm Pluto.
Nope. I am Uranus, and I am flashing in. We need the hugs. We need the hugs. We need the hugs. And I'm going to go back into Taurus, and I am looking for that good Jupiter, that somewhere in my sense of security, that I am strong in myself, finding all this chatter going back and forth between Venus and Neptune, or Venus and Mercury, which is great, but it's like I just want security and the strength. And so I'm going to look for those people that give me a few hugs, and I might even stroke that teddy bear. I think that sounds
I'll give you a hug. If I know this is going to be a weird year, but if anybody feels sad or insecure, just come to me, and I will give you a big, big, big hug, a collective hug. And I'm down for that. So don't feel insecure or bad. Just reach out to Jupiter.
I am Pluto, and you know that as Pluto, I am about breaking down conditioning. I am about breaking down that which you take for granted. I am here to transform the way you are. And I am in trine to Uranus, revolution, and I am trining the sun, Libra, doing it in a way that we are in connection with others. And so there's a really interesting way we can transform how it is that we are in the world through revolutionary acts and acts of diplomacy.
Woo.
See, I leave you speechless.
Neptune.
The last time as Neptune, the last time I was in Aries, entering into Aries, was the Civil War. So talking about breaking down inequality, I'm with you.
Well, I don't know if we have a horn as we did before, but I think it's time that there goes my. Now,
well, too soon.
Yes, you count down how close was the lightning. Okay, thank you. We have quite a portrait here. Oh, let me just show you folks. Here is the list again before we sign off. Thank you, everybody, too, for downloading, subscribing, and liking. We're not ending, but I'm going to close out our little information here. And chat, find out. Here we are, all 9 of us, finally. Good. Yes. What a picture.
Number.
Looking at that chart from the standpoint of the sun being a part of that kite pattern with all of those outer planets in retrograde is just like, especially, you're talking about Saturn and Neptune conjunct, Neptune or Saturn is in the sign that rules Neptune. So it's a very confusing time review, and we're just trying to find that balance. And I think
it won't be with Mars, as Justin said, because once Mars gets finished with this retrograde, it's plowing right through all the signs. Is that right?
Yeah, well, in that chart too, I didn't mention it. It's actually squaring Pluto. So
it is.
Mars at 0 degrees Scorpio is squaring Pluto. So it's definitely some tension we're have to see some changes in a lot of social media and communications with that.
The old and the
with
new,
that.
the two rulers. You know,
The
It kept coming
future
into my head.
belongs to the punks and the pioneers.
It kept coming into my head, Rick Levine's statement about Neptune and Saturn. And that is Neptune is reality and Saturn is the illusion that there is one.
Well,
really love
I
that.
like to
Echoed
say
through that
Neptune,
chart,
Neptune is
especially
what we
with
think is reality.
Neptune at the kind of the rocket fuel point and that opposition in that kite. I was like, whoa. Yeah.
We're in the waters for sure. And the other one is really that he keeps saying that for years there in Seattle, you know, with WASA, is that it comes from the Hopi idea, and it's been a little bit elongated. But generally, the times are going to get so swift, which we're in, that if you hang on to the shore, you're going to get swept away. So just go into the water, and that's where your people, your tribe will be. So
And it feels
it's
staying true to you, right? All of this Aries emphasis as a
yes.
Aries sign, I would say
And
staying true to you is the way to make it through.
Yeah.
Right.
and
You have
discover
to look at your
yourself.
values. You've got to look at your values and what you value. And because if you don't, you can easily get caught up into something that you really shouldn't be involved in.
Yeah.
I do think that feeds into this idea that Mars in Scorpio is very much about defense, protection, and guarding.
Amen.
And then it's square Pluto. And for me, this has been resonating a lot, that Pluto is really about deconditioning. You know, we're in the matrix, and Pluto in Aquarius is trying to strip that illusion away and go, you got to stop thinking you're eating steak. It might taste like steak, but it is not steak.
Then how? Can I
Well,
also
and that's
just
what it is. Yeah.
say
And
that
usually,
Scorpio, as you all know, has the eagle as its other glyph representation, right?
Yeah.
So getting out of the defensive and into the bigger vision. Same level of perception, but different vantage point.
But there's many.
We usually, it's going to be a few years before we can, I mean, because really when Pluto enters a sign, we see the shadow quite clearly. I mean, or at least we start seeing the shadow even more of that sign. And it's not until it gets to the middle degrees that we really know where it's going.
But remembering that we have these nodes in Pisces and Virgo really dramatically shifts the whole tempo, and also the one annual transit of Jupiter, because it is also where we're looking at, I think, a smaller increment of what community is, to be a closer unit. And that also means with Pluto just releasing, letting go. It may be that our close connections are no longer supporting us. I mean, we're really open territory for every dimension to change.
Sorry to interrupt, but if you're talking Aquarius, what's missing in the Aquarian is that this is communication beyond species, transspeciesism, right?
Yes.
Transitarianism, beyond humanitarianism.
Yes.
So maybe that's part of the shadow.
That Uranus going there is really going to do things we never thought of. Like, you just see it now, you know.
And to piggyback off of Melissa, like, it seems like that the difference between now and 4 years ago is that anytime that these outer planets are having this big aspect pattern, there's this undercurrent of egalitarianism that is kind of operating underneath the surface, that is kind of moving things underneath, and we're seeing that in the world right now.
It takes time to figure out how do you fit in a community, and as a community changes every time. Like this event today was totally different than where we've operated before, and we have new people too. So we're like a micro of the macro, and I think we have.
I just want to say one thing about the nodes, because Virgo's all about looking deeper and cleaning stuff out and showing the true reality of stuff. It's serious side, right? Right. So we're going to see this dichotomy, that balance between Virgo and Pisces, all about what's true and what's not true. And so a lot of people are going to get their chain jerked and like, wow, that's what's really going on. So it's going to be Virgo's going to come in, and that South Node Ketu's going to clear house.
I'm
everywhere
hoping.
it travels over.
I'm hoping we start looking at what to clean the oceans, clean the rivers, clean our homelessness, clean these things that keep us unified, that give us dignity of
Exactly.
of purpose and relationships and everything else. Bless you, everybody.
Hey,
Melissa, Susie,
I want
Jolly,
to say,
Sean. Yes.
just real quick here, I want to throw in sacrifice to create to sacrifice is that Virgo Pisces thing. And I want to roll a big red carpet out to Susie Cox. She is a legend. I'm so stoked that she's here with us.
Amen. The legends within our hearts and as we share. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hugging.
Thanks a lot. It was awesome.
And Happy New Year, folks. And thank you.
To you. Same to you.
Amen.
From north, south, east, west, and outer, inner.
I love
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining an insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests awaken consciousness by connecting soul growth patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.